Welcome back, y'all. We're talking alternative energy, and we're talking the MTA being trash as they've been for I don't know how many years, probably since before I was born. All right, stay tuned. Welcome to the Social Millennial Podcast. We out here, gang. Y'all already know what it is. For those who don't know what it is, this is the Social Millennial Podcast. I kind of just talk about things that interest me, whether it be world news and sort of political views, whether it be scientific and astrological physics discoveries, archaeological discoveries, and my opinions on that, sports, etc. You name it, whatever I'm interested in is what's happening on this episode. For those who don't know, if you're watching, we have a audio component to this. So if you kind of don't have the time to sit down and want to watch this wonderfully attractive and handsome mug, you can absolutely save that wherever you listen to your podcasts at. The podcast is on Spotify at socialmillenialpod. It is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, which is becoming YouTube Podcasts soon, or folding into YouTube Music soon. So for those of you using Google Podcasts, stay up for that. We also have a homepage. The link will be in the description of this video to the audio sort of home. I say home page. It's not quite all the way the website. That's also under construction. But it is a landing page where you will have access to all of the episodes of the podcast in their audio format. Should you be one of those individuals who do not use any of the big serving platforms, you know, if you're not using Anchor, if you're not using Apple, if you're not using Spotify, etc., you can just bookmark that landing page, that homepage, which the link will be in the description of this video, and you'll be able to catch the audio without having to finagle with your phones or whatever, or Spotify account or what have you, without having to pay for it. Again, this podcast is 100% free for those who don't know. For those who are listening, we have a video component, which they're watching me right now. Hey, y'all. We are on YouTube. It's at Social Millennial Pod. If YouTube tries to get you to spell it a weird way, let them know, no, I mean Social Millennial Pod. That's SocialMillenialpod. All right, because if you try to spell it another way, it's going to give you all a whole bunch of other stuff. Make sure to head on over to the visuals. Make sure to head over to the audio and give it a like, give it a view. I mean, view it. Let it run for about 6 or 7 seconds, 10 seconds, and that'll count for us. It definitely helps the podcast, listening, viewing, downloading, liking, subscribing, hitting the little bell notification on YouTube so that you get the alerts and the notifications, hopefully, if YouTube feels like it, and giving us a comment. You know, give us a review, give us a star rating. Let us know what y'all think about the podcast. Even if y'all think it's trash, let us know what y'all think. You feel me? So now that we got that out of the way, welcome back. Thank y'all for coming. If you're new, thank y'all for coming too. Thank you for spending the time that you decided to spend to listen to this, whether in whether in parts with an S or whether in its entirety. Thank you so much. So whether you stay on this episode till the end or not, it's okay. We're not going to hold you. I'm not going to be tight. I'm not going to be upset. Just thank you for what little time that you do decide to take out of your day or your night or your evening or your breakfast time or your lunch break or your commute to spend some time to check in. You feel me? To pop in. So thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. So we in here, first thing I'm going to say is people really be weird. Human beings be humaning, people be peopling. It's basically people being people. I, over this week, been surveying or taking stock of, like most weeks, the reasons for certain relationships in my life not being around, not being there, like not quite clicking. Like you do your best to want to be there for certain people and to sort of love them, sometimes in ways that they have never received before, to kind of encourage them, develop them, help them to grow. And I don't mean jumping on somebody's back and being like, oh man, you're doing this wrong, you're trash, you're trash, you're trash, you're trash. I mean, really being invested in other people winning. You feel me? Like, I want to win, and I don't wish L's on nobody. Generally speaking, I don't really think so. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to get that W. And just really been taking stock, and maybe I'm the kind of person who focuses a lot on trying to give people outs, because I understand my own fallibility as a human being, my own failures, my own shortcomings, my own imperfections, my own flaws, just even some of my own toxicity. Like, I try my best, or I attempt to really recognize that, to not just be an understanding person to other people or other situations, but to try to be understanding towards myself and not as harsh on myself, and hopefully in turn creates that sort of cycle, that sort of one thing feeds into the next, where if I can not be so hard on me and be more understanding towards me and my human condition, my human limitations, my emotional limitations, my spiritual limitations, then maybe it would be easier, and it would feed into me desiring to be more understanding towards other people and their situations. Now, it may not translate into that off rip, because one would think, well, if I'm just thinking about myself and wanting to be understanding towards myself and not take myself to task as harshly, depending on the circumstance, depending on what the scenario is, as harshly, it still kind of seems like I'm being really just thinking on myself and focusing on self. So how could that possibly translate or feed into thinking about other people? My thought process is, if I can get it wrong, others can get it wrong. If others can get it wrong, I can get it wrong. If I have in my own life, if I've tasted the bitterness of defeat, and I understand what that does to me, or in different scenarios, how I've reacted to it, I'm not an island. I'm not an alien. I'm not an oddity. Other people around me feel the same way and reacted the same way that I did to the bitterness, the bitter taste of defeat, the pain of betrayal and loss. And if other people could possibly react in the same way that I have, then definitely many other people, because there are so many, react and respond in ways that I would not. And so, in understanding that I do these things in the way that I do them, and some of those things are not good, some of the reactions aren't good, some of the conclusions that I get to are not good, and I've got to be able to sift through even myself and my own mind and my own reactions to things, to try to get as close to on the mark as possible. And even in that pursuit, I fail at times. That other people are like that too. As imperfect as I am, and I would hope to try to know myself the best that I can before I sort of try to know people. If I am this way, and everyone's human, then everyone is some flavor of this way. Some flavor of it. People are gonna react and respond to the things in their life, to the stimuli, in a bunch of different ways. And the idea of being understanding towards that is seeing my own flaws in someone else. Not specifically, but it's the idea that I am a human, and human equals not perfect. And if you're a human, human equals not perfect. So the idea of like me trying to sit down and come up with outs for certain people, outs for certain situations, is from that. Maybe this person's going through something. Maybe on the road, maybe on their journey and the choices that they've got to make, they want to protect a relationship that they have, or a decision that they made that they know is not going to gel well in the relationship that they might have with me or with you. So instead of going through that sort of growing period of trying to figure out and understand how this person's decision making can gel in with how your relationship has been going together, instead of going through that, maybe they back away. Maybe they go, I want to spend my energy in this direction, and the way that I've been going is away from that direction, but I really want this other thing. So they go, all right, I'm going to have to just do this other thing because these two things seem to me to be very opposing and very opposite. And some people don't want those kinds of conflicts. Some people don't want those kinds of unravelings sometimes. So they go or they leave, and in harsher scenarios, they'll salt the earth of the relationship. They'll maybe sometimes try to make it like, because of their own ego or their own whatever, maybe they have a problem with breaking off relationships. Maybe sometimes they have problems with being truthful to themselves, and then being able to say the truth. Some people have those kinds of problems. And as a deer in headlights moment of, oh man, these two things are not going to gel together. Oh man, maybe I've been talking and saying and listening and absorbing this great information that is to help me grow or to help me come out of the habits that I've been in. Maybe those things that are in me, I can possibly set aside in order to keep this other relationship that is opposing to all of that growth alive, because I desire that. And if it has to be at the expense of another person and their reputation, some people will just do that. They'll just take it. They'll lie on you, as if you did something wrong to them, and so on and so forth. But it may not be you. It may be you to a certain extent, because you pose this sort of opposing viewpoint, or you pose this other trajectory in this person's life that they don't in this point in their journey want to continue going through, but may not have the heart, may not have the fortitude, may not have the emotional strength to be able to confront that conflict and maybe come to terms with the idea that they want to continue or do these things that go down this trajectory that they want to go down. Maybe that's just what that is. Maybe it's just what that is. It's not necessarily that, I'm not getting to the conclusions necessarily that, it's their problem and their fault and that's it. It's more so like, I'm here, this is what I represent, and this is what I've always wanted for whoever people's that I might be looking over relationships. I've only wanted y'all to win. I've only wanted to see you for who you are and understand you for who you are and be understanding and gracious and merciful towards you. If it's something that you feel is too encroaching on you, it's too challenging to the status quo mentally and emotionally of the life that might be easier for you, the path that might be the path of least resistance, then so be it. It may just be that. And sometimes people, for their own self-preservation of unraveling, sometimes also maybe, and given different circumstances, because again, people are different, in service of self-preservation of their ego, of their mind, people don't necessarily want to accept that the things that they've been thinking or feeling for so long, or whatever has been put in their minds by their parents or people who were over them, or that they thought or they think are credible sources of information and guidance, that they've been misguided or are lacking in something. People don't like to face that. Really, that's a harsh thing to face, those kinds of truths. They will retreat from the relationship in ways that are very discarding. Because in order to make the about face into the habits that maybe that person felt are not actually good, but this is what they want to do, they feel like they've got to cut off all the way so that they don't feel the remorse later in the journey or the decision to go down said a certain path in their own personal journey. So they might come back and disappear. They might ghost you. They might talk wild about you in order to justify the thing that they're doing or the direction that they want to go in for themselves, for their own mental well-being, so that they don't unravel, so that they don't feel the pain of the guilt of betraying someone who wanted the best for them, or who would deny themselves so that they can have the best, or who would want to impart on a friend, want to impart on someone else some ideas of the paths to take to get it right, where I might have gotten it wrong. So yeah, I've just been looking over stuff, wanting to give things outs, desiring to see where more mercy can be applied, where more grace can be applied. Because at the end of the day, I'm just one person. My journey is going to be my journey, and everyone else's journey is going to be everyone else's journey. And is it all the way up to me to harbor the pains of betrayals when I may not even have all of the information? I may not possess all of the receipts. I may not possess all of the tea. Because often we don't get to talk to that other person when something like that happens. And so you don't, like we say, closure, you don't really get that, well, why did you do this way? Like, I understand maybe wanting to take another direction or wanting to go down another path that might be a complete about face from the path that I was going to go on and that you were helping me to go on, and just being around, just, feeding me wisdoms and then just letting me do what I need to do with that wisdom. Why break it in this kind of a way? Why ghost? Why slander? Why lie about things that I've said or things that I've done? Even if there are receipts that show that I have not done these things, why lie about them? Why do those things? You may very well not get that. Most of the time you don't. So it's like, is it my responsibility or your responsibility to hold on to these things? Do they serve us? Aside from us learning what we can from them, how else would they serve us? When you kind of see that other people are just going to make their decisions for what they want out of their lives, regardless. So is there a whole lot that you can do about that? I don't know. Not really. I think when people want to do what they want to do, or when people are motivated by whatever motivates them, you've got love languages, you've got things that just speak to us individually, and all of those things. There are plenty of things that speak to all of us in a general sense, and plenty of things that speak to each and every one of us on a personal level, that sort of pulls us, that sort of attracts us, etc. People are gonna want to do those things, which is part of the human condition. So is it really our responsibility, my responsibility, to hold on to those pains? So I thought to myself, if I'm not able necessarily to sit down, pick it apart like I would want to, sit down, pick it apart, really understand it for what it is with the other people or other person, etc., as I look over all of these relationships, if I'm not able to do that, then how do I get rid of the drive to hold it, the drive to keep that fire going for those relationships? Keep that fire going for some kind of reconciliation that may not even really need to be reconciliation, because I may not have done anything wrong. It may not have been something where I actively caused pain to the other person. It may just be that they wanted to go in another direction and were too afraid of the conflict of confronting that with me. So they were gone, or a myriad of other things. But at the end of the day, it leaves me not understanding. And so where I can't get all of the information to understand concretely, I can sit and place a portion of my own understanding to them and go, well, people are going to be people. Well, their journey is going to be their journey. And I can only hope that they get out of their journey what they desire to. Even if it seems to me that the direction that they decided to go in is a direction that has a high probability of not going well for them. I still desire, even against that probability, that if there is that small chance that it might still go well for them, that can happen. Because I want my people to win. I want everybody to get W's. And I mean, things like that, like ghosting and just being gone really for no reason, or maybe thinking that I'm going to react a certain kind of way with some kind of upsetment or anger. Oh, let me say that too. That's a whole other reason why people just be gone, is because they don't necessarily want to subject themselves to your reaction or to what they perceive your reaction to them or their decision should be. Some will think that, well, if I did this thing to myself, to me, if it was me that I was doing this to, I would react in this kind of way. So I don't want that reaction that I would have for what I'm doing or for the direction that I want to go in. I don't want to feel that from someone else doing that to me. So I'm just going to be gone so that I don't have to feel that, because, who would give me mercy? If I was doing that to me, I wouldn't give me mercy. So who would show me mercy? Who would give me grace? Who would be understanding? It would just be an argument. It would just be an upset. I don't want to hear all of that. So I'm just going to go away. So I don't have to deal with that. My mentals, my emotions, my ego doesn't have to deal with that. And, we can call people like that all kinds of things and all kinds of names, and coward and weak and so on and so forth. But people are people. I understand, or I know a whole lot of points within myself where I'm weak. I know a lot of points in myself where I'm strong. And, maybe you brushed up against someone's point of weakness. Whether it be that they want to run away because they don't want to feel the consequence or want to feel the guilt or the shame of a reaction of a person who they care about a lot or who they look up to, or whether it be they want to create the slander of the relationship in order to better justify, or at the very least publicly justify, what they're doing to someone who only did good things to them, only talked highly of them, only uplifted them, only pointed them into other avenues to benefit themselves, sometimes to benefit themselves and their families, to benefit themselves and their children, to benefit their work life, etc. And this is not me coming on here talking about, oh, none of these niggas took my advice on XYZ things, so these niggas is trash and they should never. No. This isn't that. This is taking stock of betrayals and pain that one might be holding inside of themselves regarding relationships that sometimes they could not do anything about, that sometimes had nothing to do with you and had everything to do with the choices and the journeys that that other people wanted to take. That's what this is. And wanting to ease the hold that those relationships have on you. because we carry everything with us. We carry all of our conversations. We carry all of our experiences with us. We carry all of our relationships with us, whether romantic or whether parental. Whether office coworker, work related, or friendship, acquaintanceship. We classmates. We carry those things with us, and some of them are potent and deep enough or we feel enough for them that if certain things happen, that sticks with us, whether super positive or super negative. And so how do we get that from not having a hold? Because we're going to carry it no matter what, but not sort of living in our mind rent free kind of a deal. And where I've come to is giving people outs. And it's only after like a third out that if something is still egregious, then I'm like, okay, this person just really wanted to be malicious towards me. If after 3 outs, it still looks like real weird, real off, it's like, okay, there was a point where this person turned against me and I may not have realized it because I cared about them so much. But yeah, something that works for me, putting that, well, I'm not perfect. Well, maybe this person was stressed out. This is a pivotal time in their life. A lot of transitions happened. Maybe this person was gutted because at that time, this huge thing happened to them. And I might have been trying to guide them or help them be one. Might have been trying to help them or be one of their guides, maybe be a point of resource to help them keep their head above water, because I've gone through something similar to what they're going through. And maybe it's something that they felt that they weren't strong enough to do. I'm giving them outs, because people are people. They're not just monoliths. They're not just one thing. Humans are never one thing. We're a whole bunch of different things inside of one brain. And not personalities, but just, it's a lot of different facets to us. So it's easy. It's the easy route to go, nah, this nigga was trash, or this girl was trash because XYZ, yada, 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 this, that, and the It's very easy to do that. I don't know if y'all can hear, but they're starting to give heat. Live in a building, I'm in NYC. They're starting to give heat, so y'all might hear that iron steam water heater going. Hopefully it doesn't start clanking, because oh my gosh, that's so annoying. But this is how it be here. For anybody listening anywhere else in any other country, this is how it be here. But yeah. So all that being said, take stock of your own relationships that live in your mind rent free, things that have happened to you that have served to maybe affect you negatively or even positively. But the negative ones that sort of break your heart still, maybe offer or exercise that sort of understanding card. That sort of, maybe this person was stressed. Maybe there was something that they were going through that I didn't know, and it was changing them. It was causing them to take stock of where they were, and they decided to go another direction. Maybe they how they grew up made it that it's difficult for them to confront this specific kind of thing, etc. And again, it's maybes and it's hypotheticals, because like I said, you often don't get the chance to sit down and really be able to truthfully have a talk about it. But at the very least, we've got to find a way to cope. We've got to find a way to go on, because those things take up bandwidth in our brain. Like it just does. So we say like live in your brain rent free. That's bandwidth. That's space in your brain, especially as you get older. That space in your time, space in your brain's energy that goes, time that goes away, that you can't get back, that is depleting. And we wanna move forward. We want to forge ahead. We want to be able to put our best foot forward in all the things that we do. So maybe in your quiet time, think on those things. In your quiet time, think on those. Think on your own human condition, and then be able to see people as you see yourself. I'm flawed. I'm a human. I go through stress. I get hangry. I have an affinity for this, or I have an affinity for that. Oh, this is my weakness. This is my kryptonite that pulls me in this direction and pulls me in that direction. I'm a sucker for this. I'm a this. I'm a that. And then be able to go, man, these other people are just like that. Just a thought. Just a thought. Maybe it helps. Maybe it doesn't. If it does help, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you guys have gone through a similar thing in your life. I'm sure someone has. I mean, it's so there are so many people on this earth going through so many things. So many of them must be similar. So many of them must have the same kinds of wrinkles, and many don't. So please let me know what y'all think, man. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm some kind of professional psychiatrist or psychologist or anything like that. This is just the social millennial. I'm going through life just like y'all and commenting about it, what I'm going through, what I'm thinking about, and let me know what y'all think. All right. So listen, so on to some stories. We've got some science, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes, we've got some science and some climate change, kind of getting a little bit political with this one, just a smidge. I don't think we'll get too political this episode, but I said that last episode and there was a rant that I kind of went on. Y'all go check that out. But climate change and electric vehicles, just sort of the idea of clean energy. Now, there were murmurs for many years, but murmurs for years that a lot of these technologies are not necessarily the most viable at this point. Maybe some point in the future, they will be viable in terms of, let me give an example, the amount of energy that you get from solar panels and how cost effective that it is to do solar panels and to make solar panels, etc., and be able to harvest the sun's energy. How effective that is, as opposed to just having, coal generators for electricity, or even water generators generating electricity, steam, etc., or wind. For wind propellers. How much wind energy could we power an entire city on wind energy? Could we power a power grid on just propellers? We can't really. You do get energy from them. You can't. Solar panels can be effective given the proper circumstance, etc., etc., etc. But there's always been that in the scientific world. These are kind of not the most viable way, the most potent ways of getting energy to be able to use for the tasks that we use now in our modern age. Depending on the political atmosphere, that sort of balanced understanding has gotten rejected and downplayed for an unbalanced understanding of, now we have to save the earth, climate change, so we got to become carbon neutral and we got to reduce emissions, leading to legislations that kind of mess up some things, but don't really, which we'll get to, didn't really ended up not really helping anything. And then sometimes it goes, less frequently, it swings over to the other side of the more balanced understanding of like, well, these are great technologies to utilize as a group together, as a conglomerate, to produce energies in where we can, but our main source of energy are still these fossil fuels, etc. So what I'm talking about now, if you read, for those of you who don't know, who are new, everything that I talk about when it comes to our news stories and commentary on them, you will find a link in the description. So when I'm talking about movies, when I'm talking about UFC, etc., you're going to have a link in the description to the article that can give you even more of a technical deep dive into what I'm talking about, where I got this from. So by all means, decide when you go down into the description, hit that homepage button, bookmark that. When you go down into the description, hit that merch tab, because we do have merch. We've got some sales coming out. I'm talking about 40% off during the month of November. So we've got some sales. So make sure to go over there and bookmark that site for the merch store. We've got everything from hoodies to phone cases to mugs to oil paintings, etc. Enjoy. Knock yourselves out. Hit the homepage. Link under that is going to be the merch, or over that is going to be the merch. And then under that, you'll see the word links, and you'll see all of the stories that we're talking about today. So y'all can kind of get in there and get your hands dirty for those who like that kind of thing. For those who want to see that information here and hear it / watch it / read it from the horse's mouth. But it has come out, studies have come out that the craze or movement, I say craze, but the mad dash politically and fiscally towards carbon neutrality, towards zero emissions, the mad dash away from fossil fuels to EV and alternative sources of energy have proven to be not there. Meaning, EV, alternative energy sources, etc., have been government subsidized billions of dollars over the course of the past few years, and in order to get this technology not just to move forward, but to become widely adopted. So think advertising, think big contracts for automakers who are not Tesla to jump into the electric vehicle market and develop things there so that more people can have electric vehicles. As an example, subsidized. So government is giving out money. Oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. Oh, you're even at the sort of ground level. I think here in New York State, they do that. I don't know if it's a whole federal thing. I don't know if it's state by state, but they will give you money to put solar panels on your house and have part of your energy not be coming from the power grid. They'll give you a subsidy. They'll give you money for doing that. So studies have come in and shown that it hasn't worked. That not only has the adoption of alternative energy and EV, let's say, because I'll hit that because I feel like in a place like New York City, that's where we see that effect the most in Teslas, etc. We don't have huge solar panel fields that we see on the daily. That it's actually declined given the billions of dollars of government subsidies. Its use has declined, its popularity has declined, and so not just that it's declined in the past few years, like steadily coming down, even though politically, Biden administration, etc., you got the squad and so on and so forth. Politically, even overseas, the Western countries politically have been like, oh, carbon neutral, oh, we're fighting climate change with these policies, etc., etc., etc. We stand against climate change and we're going to be carbon neutral, etc., etc., etc. Even though politically they've been banging that gavel and saying we're doing it, we're accomplishing it, actually, not only has EV and other alternative forms of energy been on the decline, but fossil fuels have been continuing to rise steadily. The use of fossil fuels, the need for it, etc., the adoption of it, the continued endorse of it by the consumers, by us, has continued to go up. And it goes to show that if people are not on board with something, it's for those who think that people can just be bought into adopting something. This is another thing coming. This is a clear example that if people ain't with it, they ain't with it. It don't matter how much money you want to throw at them. It doesn't matter how many perks you want to throw at them. People ain't with it. A really great example is EV. That we, because I said that we could see that the most in our daily lives. GM and Honda partnered together in order to, because GM was saying they were just going to dive headfirst into electric vehicles, to just create a line of that to start. Really, they want to jumpstart that, especially because the government, Biden, decided to pull in certain automakers and subsidize them to create their own electric vehicles, much to the chagrin of Elon Musk. It very much showed that the Biden administration was not, whatever sort of powers that be, whatever factions that happened there and that are happening in our government, did not want anything to do with Tesla even though at this point, still, Tesla is the foremost name in electric vehicles. Why would you not, if you're going to have a summit of automakers to subsidize and create contracts and agreements to subsidize and enrich the development of this technology, why would you not bring in Tesla, who kind of has been doing this effectively? Let me say effectively, because these are the car companies have had electric vehicles. Think the Prius, etc., the Leaf, but they didn't take hold the way Tesla has taken hold of the hearts and the minds of the people, the way Tesla makes sales. They don't sell the way Tesla makes sales. So you would think that they'd bring them in, but no, not the case. So just to give a little bit of the backstory, GM partnered with Honda in order to develop, on the science end, the R&D, develop a platform that they could both use and share to build out their electric vehicles. Shared technology, trying to advance the technology, that they could both be able to produce vehicles with a patented, design that they could both produce vehicles with, and it'd be cost effective. And that has since dissolved because I think it's Honda is the Honda's quote is in the article. It didn't work. Like they couldn't crack this code of EV and trying to push it forward, electric vehicles, trying to push it forward so that it becomes cost effective. Why they were like, let's partner together to figure this thing out and put our heads together? Because electric vehicles loses the manufacturer money. So something like GM, for every EV electric vehicle that they sell, they lose like 40 to 60K. Like they're losing money because the development is the cars themselves to produce, the technology itself to produce is so expensive. They're not getting a return. There's no fiscal return on the investment, especially at the price point that they're at, to sell it to consumers, especially because consumers are not purchasing them in the droves that they would need to in order to justify the manufacturing on GM side. So we'll speak specifically because the article brings them up, GM and Honda. They're losing money. And so it begs the question, what's the deal? What's the dealio? Because so many of our political leaders have been pushing carbon neutral, climate change, all this jazz, but we're not even at the federal level really pressing for technological advancements in the way that they need to show up or that they need to happen in order for the technologies to be viable enough and cost effective enough to really get everybody using it. So whether that's solar panels, whether it's wind turbines, I think turbines in dams, I think we're good with that. But electric vehicles, etc. Hydrogen is being pushed forward by South Korea and other countries. They're really pushing that science forward. I think I talked about that. I alluded to that a few episodes back. But in terms of the Western world, we're not really doing that. But then our politicians are banging the drums and yeah, we're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it. Carbon neutral. Look at these policies. Look at what I'm doing. Biden and administration. We are a green administration. This is what we're doing. But that's not what's happening in reality. I mean, you've got a Biden administration that will say, you got a hypocritical administration in the Biden administration, which most administrations are hypocritical in some kind of way. But with this subject and where we are now, in this time, in this moment, in this place, in this room, Biden administration will come on and say and run and talk about how they're going to be the greenest of all the administrations, talk about how we don't want to pollute the environment, talk about how we want a thing, and Biden will closes all of our pipelines that were making us energy independent from the rest of the world. And instead of saying, oh, we are going to implement XYZ things that are going to turn our power grids and make them self-sufficient, etc. I don't know if it would be by nuclear power or whatever have you. They just cut the tap on U.S. soil that existed, that was helping, that was keeping prices low, that was keeping the morale up of the consumer, etc., and so on, that we didn't have to think about because we had to then go, oh, we're just going to go buy oil anyway from Saudi Arabia, etc. We're just going to strengthen those alliances by now getting into their pockets. We were coming out of their pockets. So we could not be bought by Saudi Arabia. We could not be bought by the Middle East. We cannot be bought by Russia. We cannot be bought by anyone because we were manufacturing our own stuff, or not all of it, but we were manufacturing more of our own things. It was ramping up. We were growing more of our own things. It was ramping up. We were powering our own things with our own resources. That was rising steadily. So I say that to say we had an administration politically that would be like, oh, look at us. We're so green because we shut down these pipelines that we're thinking we shut down fracking, etc. But we're just going to get it from somewhere else. You know, it makes the news cycle and gets pushed by mainstream media, which at this point is an arm of the government. Let's be clear. That is my position. It is a direct arm of the government. Absolutely. Full stop. The story's already out there. All you have to do is, it's already there. The collusion between social media, collusion between big media conglomerates and the federal government is there and documented. It's not I'm not talking conspiracy. This isn't a tinfoil hat thing. It's a thing. It's been litigated. It's been exposed in Congress. It just is what it is. But that the powers that be, media would push all of that and say, oh, look, celebrate. The pipelines are closed. The pipelines are closed. And as long as they got the ratings, as long as they impressed it upon the peoples that want to believe the things that they have to say, now we're not going to talk about it anymore. Now we're not going to highlight. We're not going to shine a light on, oh, wait, but we're still depending on oil the same way we were before, if not greater than we were before. It's only rising. They're not going to shine a light on that. So it's just a very interesting thing that the government, as much as they wanted to buy people, the hearts and minds of the people, to get y'all to buy into this kind of electric vehicle thing, it didn't work. It didn't work. Not even just with the American government. It didn't work with England. It hasn't been working. I mean, steady decline, years and years and years and years, steady decline. The sales going down, everything going down. So yeah, interesting thing. When humans want to do something, humans do something. When they don't want to do something, they don't want to do something. It doesn't matter how much money you want to give them. It doesn't matter what kind of story that you want to sell them. You know, all that Greta Thunberg, all of that climate change, all of that ashamed of yourself. That actress who has a union card, who is SAG-AFTRA, somehow surviving just being a political activist. You got to think about that. All that grandstanding in the UN, all of that Paris Accords to go green and to get this and to do that and so on and so forth, and America getting out of those accords, those deals, the Paris Accords, because no one else was really following it and because it's not really going to help at all. Oh my gosh, you can look on the internet now. You can find so many articles talking about how it kind of sort of helped, but then when you go to the scientific articles, they're like, yeah, nah, it kind of really hasn't done anything. You see where the science ends and the politics start. But yeah, my theory, let's get a little political now. If you stayed for this long, because I know there are some people who watch this for my political theories. My theory, and again, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is for funnies and for comedy only. This is just a head scratch and something to think about. I don't have all the answers, people. Is that the idea of wanting people to be attached to the power grid for their vehicles, be attached to the power grid for their phones, be attached to the power grid for everything, could very well be linked to the idea of the federal government wanting to transition the currency of the United States into a digital currency, because that is an agenda, and I might do a video on it. Who knows? The Patreon is getting together, y'all. It's coming. Moving the United States into cryptocurrency, a digital currency, might be linked. And other people have talked about this too, in that if you can get everybody on hooked up into the government in some kind of way, everyone. So think your cars plugged into the grid. Think your bank accounts plugged into the cryptocurrency, running on cryptocurrency. The idea is that if the government could get, or the powers that be, or the Fed, or whomever, can get a tendril into your personal life as much as they can, when it comes time to impose certain laws or impose certain agendas, it can be imposed properly, not through fakery or subterfuge in order to get you to opt in. They will just say, like China does similar things. They will say that, well, because you said this online, or because you don't want to do this thing that we're telling you should do for your own health, we're going to pause your bank account because it runs on the crypto. In order to take part in commerce, you have to plug into this system. And so if the government controls the system, then the government can go, we're going to pause your bank account for about 2 weeks as a penalty for not doing such and such a thing. We're going to pause the power to your house for 4 days because you decided to XYZ. China does a similar thing. For those who do not know, this is a real thing. It's not fake. It's not conspiracy theory. This is how it works. They run on a social currency system. Social currency meaning, I don't remember if it's like by points or what they call the units specifically, but everyone has a certain amount of social currency. They can gain more social currency, or they can lose social currency. So you get tickets, you lose social currency. You say certain things on their government monitored social media that's against the government, or something the government doesn't like, you lose social currency. You get to a point of losing social security. You get to a threshold below a certain point in your social currency, and certain penalties get enacted on you. So whether it's monetary, whether it's now you can't use this app, now you can't ride the trains, you're locked out of being able to get on trains and take taxis, etc., like that. They already do that now. It already happens. I hope we don't get there, but we may get there just in a more subtle way, where the Chinese government is very sort of kind of heavy-handed with it, where they've got cameras everywhere in the capital. And if the cameras catch you jaywalking, they're using facial recognition to have you, know who you are, send you a ticket, and then they display your picture so everyone can see and hopefully shame you for being a jaywalker, so you can feel the shame. They're more overt with that kind of communistic control, the out of control socialism that is communism, to control the masses, to be what we want you to be, because what we think you should be is something that is good. And oftentimes when we see those kinds of regimes, it doesn't end well. Oftentimes when we see that kind of thinking, even in a microcosm, even in a micro way, in our day to day, because that kind of thinking exists. I want you to be what I think you should be in my reality, so that my reality does not get challenged by who you are in everyone else's perceived reality. That's that thinking, and that is very, very dangerous thinking, especially if it gets popularized. That's the thinking that leads to a lot of other things, a lot of other very dangerous things. That's where people lose their lives. That's where bigotry is allowed to take its shape and to take hold. And to the people who ascribe to this modality or methodology of thinking, they don't perceive themselves as being bigoted or discriminatory or prejudiced in the classical way that we see it, in the negative connotation. They see it in a selfish way, as, well, because I am who I am, and if you're not saying that you're accepting who I am in the totality, etc., like the way that I need you to, so that my reality can function without causing me distress, then something needs to happen to you. It's dangerous. They don't perceive themselves as being the thing that they seem to not want others to be to them. So look out for it, y'all. Got a little political, you see. I get there, y'all. I get there once the train starts chugging. You feel me? Once it starts going, it gets there. But yeah, entertainment purposes only, y'all. This is just my theories and my commentary on certain things. And then what? We're talking about the MTA. Y'all, please let me know. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what y'all think about being sold carbon neutrality and being sold all of these things, and some of us feeling guilted or shamed by other people around us because we don't necessarily ascribe all the way to sort of the cult of climate change, but we do have a balanced approach in understanding that, yeah, we are kind of doing certain things that are not really great for the environment, etc. And there are things that we can do to alleviate those things, but ultimately, I mean, I'm one single person. We want to go, well, each one reaches one. Scientists have already said we could stop using fossil fuels right now, and it's not going to make too much of a difference for a long time. You could look that up. But yeah, I know some of y'all have felt that kind of shame or feel like other people kind of look at you weird because you don't bow sort of to the god of climate change or to the god of renewable energies, etc. You're not that extreme with it. You're more balanced. Let me know what y'all think about it. Let me know if maybe you agree with what my theories are about this and the connectedness with the government, etc., and maybe the steps that it seems like are coming into place, or the sort of blocks or the sort of puzzle pieces. Let me know if y'all agree. Let me know if y'all disagree. If I'm crazy, let me know what y'all think it is. Let me know if it's just something innocuous and nothing's ever going to happen with that. They're trying to help us. The government is out to be our best friend and is out to make sure that we're safe and is out to make sure that we have all the resources that we need. You know, the government is nice. They're nice people. The government is altruistic. Let me know if that's what you think. Just start this interesting discussion in the comments. All right, y'all? So anyway, moving on. Ranting about the MTA. MTA is trash. They've always been trash. Get out of my face, MTA. I hate that we have to use the MTA. I hate that this company is run the way that the company is run, and there's no accountability, and no one will hold them accountable because it is what it is. Because whatever palms, again, just being messy, advertencia, a warning, I'm being messy. I don't really know what whoever's politicians' palms that get greased and whoever's pockets get laced in order for the MTA to continue to operate the way that it's been operating as a private company within New York City is trash. Whoever's been letting this happen, I'm telling you, it's at the political level. It is at the political level. There are palms being greased so that people do not use the law to absolutely decimate the MTA and call for either the publicization of the MTA turning into a public company or turning it into a city department and getting it out of the private sector, or getting MTA out and trying to get another company to run it. Someone or many people's palms are getting greased. They're getting kickbacks. They're getting money, because it is a travesty that they go over budget routinely. They take 15 years to build something that should have taken 4. All of the other countries around the world who have train systems, who have developed train systems of the developed countries, the MTA is the trashiest company. We have the largest, New York City has the largest, if not one of the largest train systems and public transportation systems. And you would think the MTA, being one of the more wealthier transportation organizations amongst the large and industrialized cities, and they still get outpaced by these smaller systems, by these smaller companies, by companies even of similar sizes in big cities, who will go in, kill the construction, do it, crack on with their labor, and absolutely provide superior products, superior constructions, superior aesthetics, superior cleanliness at a fraction of the price that the MTA does it for. The MTA is trash. It's a mafia. Okay? There's no reason why and the greatest city in the world, the system should be so outdated. So outdated. It has not been being upgraded over time. So technology has continued to move forward and continued to shoot into the future when it comes to public transportation. I mean, at the large scale, when it comes to train cars and trains and buses, and even at the microcosm, I mean, at the micro scale, when it comes to train tracks, when it comes to power management and efficiency, when it comes to water drainage, when it comes to signals and signal changers, etc. I mean, this system has not been being upgraded the way that it needed to be since like the 70s. Because the MTA is a mafia. It is a mafia. Now, why I'm saying this and why this rant, for those who don't know, MTA is trash. They just spent something like, it's like a $55 billion pledge or whatever initiative to update the train system, right? Quote unquote. They spent $6 billion of that $55 billion on new train cars, like new trains, like a newer model of train. And this newer model of train is meant to mimic or be a little bit more akin to the Metro North trains, where the cabs, the trains are joined together without a door in between them. So you can kind of just go from the back to the front of the train without going through separate cars in terms of them being separated. Because right now, the train cars that we have, for those who don't know, they're all self-contained. So you want to travel between, there's a door, you go outside the train and then open another door to go outside the car, then open up another door to then go into the next car, which they say, like, don't switch cars while the train is moving. Nobody cares about that. Everybody does that. But yeah, so that's how it is now. They spent $6 billion on these new trains, right? And let me tell you, what is it, like 2 weeks after they started putting them onto the tracks? I think they started with the A train, with the A line. They had to pull them off because of mechanical problems, because it had a leaky gearbox that will cause the leak would cause the wheels to lock up. And so if some of the wheels locked up, it wouldn't necessarily stop the entire train if some of them did, but it over time causes damage to the tracks, and over time causes damage to the mechanisms itself for the wheels, to the train car itself. And when that would happen, you would hear this crazy, crazy high decibel just screech and grinding onto the tracks while the train was moving, that just wouldn't cease. And so imagine that times 100 when you're underground in a tunnel that's just channeling all of that sound and that vibration. Oh my Lord Jesus, on the ears. My point being, why I'm bringing this up is because of the MTA's failure of oversight. One would think, we commissioned this new futuristic design for the trains. We commissioned it. The company was Kawasaki, if I'm not mistaken, to build us 500 or whatever so train cars like this. And you're telling me y'all built the train car and didn't test it? Didn't check it? There was no beta. There was no nothing. And so now y'all spent all this money, have all these cars, and now have to address this mechanical problem and can't even put any of these new trains on the tracks now because they've got to sit down and fix it. I mean, yes, the trains were still under warranty by the manufacturer, but the idea is that if you're spending $6 billion, it should be, when it's time to be implemented, should be foolproof. You should have already did all of the testing, all of the R&D should have been done on this, all of the beta should have been done on this, so to speak, so that when it rolls out properly. A similar thing with the Omni system. They're only now starting to implement the Omni vending machines, and it's like, this Omni, OMNY, this Omni stuff has been around for how long already? They were supposed to have already implemented Omni card vending machines, and they have not done so in the time that they said they were going to do it, because the MTA is trash. The MTA is trash. I don't like that we have to utilize them. I just don't like it. But here we are. Yeah, so that story will be in the description. It's wild. I remember when they first talked about the this new model of train car that they were going to be implementing, this new train, and I saw the interior and I saw what it was going to be, I was not in agreement. I knew it was going to be trash because you got all these homeless people in New York City. You've got all these wild niggas in New York City. People that are not all the way there, that are out on the streets, and you're telling me something wild happens on the train, you now have no escape or very little option for escape because the trains are now joined. You lose an out. You lose a door that could lead you into another car to run away from danger that's happening. Because you're running away from car to car to car to car. You can't create the distance with trains that can close, train cars that can close and become self-contained, that where you can hold a door closed, where you can wedge a door closed. Maybe an attacker is trying to hurt people and people ran out of that train car into the next train car, and you have the ability to have people hold that door closed so that this attacker cannot get to them. And then in the next stop, people can run to safety. We lose a way to protect ourselves with these new train cars. So I was like, this is what it was going to be. It was going to be trash as it gets more and more widespread, or it's put into more widespread use in the city. So yeah, we hear y'all. Thank y'all so much for spending this time. I am hyped for Captain Marvel. It's going to be this week. The projections are super, super under the basement. Like Disney Marvel they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars on this film. So I just want to see it. I'm excited for it, even though it's probably going to be trash. I will definitely report on it. I will definitely talk about my experience. Thank y'all so much for being with me for this long. If anyone has made it, thank you so much for coming back. If you are a returning listener or viewer, thank you so much. Again, your time is much appreciated. We will be going into the Patreon soon. Everything is getting set up. Everything is getting cooked up. I want to already have content on there so that when y'all pull up for the Patreon, it's going to be stuff there, already there for y'all to consume and enjoy, etc. So that's building up. The brand is becoming strong. The brand is eating the Wheaties. The brand is drinking the protein, drinking the muscle milk. The brand is lifting the weights, you feel me, so that the brand can get strong. You feel me? That's what's happening now. The brand is getting strong. It's developing out, but cannot stay strong and cannot maintain without y'all. So if y'all want to support, please just like. If you like, please come subscribe. If you're subscribed, hit the notification bell on YouTube so that you get the notifications. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the podcast in general. Let us know maybe some things that y'all want us to talk about, something that I might have missed that's really big that y'all wanted to hear my opinion on. Put it in the comments where available. Hit me with a thumbs up where available. Hit us with a heart where available. You feel me? Hit us with a review. Hit us with stars where available. Please just interact with us. Let us know what y'all think. Let us know that y'all want this show to keep on going, and just be able to chill with your boy. You feel me? If y'all want to support a little more than just liking and subscribing, because that goes a long, long way for us, absolutely hit the merch link down in the description of wherever you're at. It's going to be there. And enjoy. We're going to have some sales. We're going to have a bunch of things going on in the month of November. So absolutely get over there, bookmark it so you can get those notifications. So you go back and you check it. We don't have an app yet, but in due time. Hit that merch. We're going to have sales. It's going to be great. We've got everything that you could possibly think of wanting with the Social Millennial Podcast logo on it. And hey, if y'all get something, whether it's a mug, whether it's a picture, whether it's a banner, whether it's a phone case, whether it's a hoodie, whether it's a t-shirt, we have toddler stuff too. So by all means, go over there. Tag us. Hashtag Social Millennial Pod, hashtag SM Pod. And so we could see it. Take a picture. You feel me? Show us that you rep the pod. So it's to show us that you rep the social millennial. Maybe you're a social millennial. You feel me? Rep it. But thank y'all so much. We've got the links down in the description of the stories that we talked about today. We've got a link to the homepage, the landing page for the audio today, down in the description. If you do not ascribe or want to deal with Spotify on your phone or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, etc., maybe you're an old head, you can go to the website and you can enjoy all of the episodes there. Thank y'all so much. Stay safe. Be safe, y'all. Treat everyone around you with grace and with understanding and with mercy, because you've been there before and you've needed it. All right, y'all? Peace.